If you're a new investor that wants to get your first foreclosure deal, or you're an experienced investor that just wants to figure out how to systemize this whole niche list thing, this is the video for you. My team has actually compiled a playlist from the beginning to the end of an arc of getting a deal. I'll go over getting started on how to find these leads, how to door knock these properties, how to cold call these folks, how much you need to follow up to actually get the deal. I'll show you a fly on the wall view of what it looks like to be in an appointment with a seller in pre-foreclosure. I'll also show you how to stop a sale once you have that contract signed. And last but not least, if for whatever reason that house forecloses, I'll show you how you can serve that seller afterwards. If you're looking for that next deal, this video is for you. Get out a pen and paper, take some notes, and most importantly, put this stuff in action. Enjoy the videos. So you're wanting to get started in pre-foreclosures and you're not really sure where to start. One of the first things that you need to consider is, where do you get your data? If you don't have the data, then you don't have the leads, and if you don't have the leads, you can't help these sellers and get contracts. So today we're gonna go over two different lead sources that are not only free, but help you get started really fast so you can have some early wins. The first lead source is Zillow, and before you kind of laugh that off, that's actually where I got my start. So for some reference, years ago, 2018, I'm sitting on my back deck, I have no leads to go off of, I sold a recent flip, and I was basically unemployed at that point. I was kind of pouting because I'd done things like driving for dollars and bandit signs and various things like that with little to no success. I'm sitting back there pouting. My wife gets back there, kind of kicks me on the backside, so to speak, and says, "You really need to provide for this family. What are you doing? Go out there and find a deal." So I didn't really know what to do. I pulled out my phone, started flicking through Zillow, and I happened to come across this for sale by owner property that said auction on it. It had a little red dot, and I looked on there and it said that there was a pre-foreclosure in 2 weeks. I didn't know what a pre-foreclosure was. All I knew was that I had no opportunity. This house was about a half mile away, and I'm gonna go take action. So I walk to this house. I'm nervous as I'll get up. I have no idea what to say. It's my first situation door knocking a house. I door knock the house and say, "Hey, my name is Michael. I know that you have a foreclosure coming up next week. I just wanted to drop by and see how I could help." To cut that story short, the first time I looked on Zillow, I found a piece of data, I door knocked a house, and I assigned that thing for $50,000 profit. So before you discount this lead source because it's so commonly known, this is where I got started. This is what helped me realize that foreclosures are a viable way of getting deals and how important that data is. So let's go ahead and look at Zillow, and I'll walk you through how to find that data. So if you go ahead and go to Zillow.com, you can simply enter a city of your choice. I'm in Kansas City, so I'm going to type in Kansas City, Missouri. It'll come up with that area. I want to go ahead and take off that restriction on Kansas City, actually. And if you go over here to this more drop down, you will see properties that are for sale by agent or properties that are for sale by owner. We want to go ahead and select by owner, and you'll also see these different check boxes over here. We want to select foreclosures, auctions, pre-foreclosures, anything to do with those type of keywords. So go ahead and click apply, and you'll notice that you have all of these results over here. Well, how do you know if these houses are auction houses? How do you know that they're in pre-foreclosure and that these sellers want help or perhaps want to sell their home? Well, go ahead and over here and click on any listing you would want, and you'll notice over here underneath the Zestimate, you'll see a little auction moniker. This means that the house has up for auction. It means that there is an auction date set. So what are you going to do with this information? You know that this house on 58th Terrace in Kansas City, but what now? Okay, simply you can go to another free site called True People Search, and you can type in this address into here. And I know YouTube does not like having addresses, so I'm gonna have my videographer go ahead and blot this out, but you can do reverse address search, search this person up, and you can find the likely homeowner that you're going to skip trace, contact, and have a conversation with. So while you're on Zillow, you need several pieces of information while you're there. You want to collect the address, the city, the state, the zip code, and then you either want to look on your tax records or something like True People Search, figure out who the homeowner is, and lay that out on a simple Google Sheet. Could you use fancy CRMs and automate this process down the line? Absolutely. But my goal for you right now is to get basic information from free websites, use free sources to document your information in terms of future use, and get started and get a win. And once you get a contract and you have that proof of concept, then you can invest in more expensive technology and automations. So let's go back to Zillow here and look at a few more. Now, conveniently, this is a property that, I kid you not, I have under contract right now. This lady was in prison. I tracked her down because I had the data from the very beginning. I got a contract on this. I'm probably going to assign it for give or take a $20K profit. But you can see on this Zestimate, right underneath it, there's an auction tab. Okay, and you'll also see you can get auction details. That's going to be our next site that we're going over. But guys, this is completely free. All you had to do was come over to More, click By Owner and Other, Foreclosures, Auctions, Pre-foreclosures. Go through here, look at every single one on here, and put that on a Google Sheet with the address, homeowner name, first name and last name. Skip trace that, and you can either cold call those people, you can door knock those people, you can immediately get started. There's not a high barrier to entry. So I know Zillow is common to everyone knows about it, but this information is already here. Why not gather it if you're brand new and start taking action? All right, we're gonna go over to our second website now, which is a commonly known website called auction.com. So you're gonna go to auction.com, choose a market that you want to be in. For instance, I'm in Kansas City. You're going to go to asset type and choose foreclosure homes. These are ones that have not yet foreclosed yet. Some of these are properties that have already been foreclosed on. They're owned by the bank. We don't want to mess with those. So you're going to choose foreclosure home, and you'll notice all of these different options that come up. So simply you can go in here, click on one of these properties, and it provides you all kinds of information. You have the property address, the county, the zip code. Oftentimes it will have the resale value or the bed and bath count. And many times, if we can find the right property in here, it will actually provide you an opening bid, such as this property. That way you can know, oh, this property has a lot of equity. I want to go after it. Or, this one doesn't have much equity. Maybe it's not worth my time yet because I don't have a team to leverage every single property and I need to use my time effectively. So you can go on to this type of website, auction.com, go through and type in your market, look for properties that you would be really interested in buying and that maybe you would want to buy 100 of. Go in, click on it, gather the address, look at any information in terms of equity that it might have. And then, most importantly, you can go down here and look for foreclosure contact info. You'll see that there's an attorney called Millsap and Singer right here. It's a very common attorney in Kansas City. And then you can simply either look for a website of their own where they might publish additional foreclosure information, or give that attorney a call and ask them, I'm looking to access all your information about the houses that are going into foreclosure. Is there a place that I can look online that updates that information? So you can continue to go through here, play around, see what all addresses are available and up for auction, see what attorneys are involved. Just start trying to educate yourself on what type of information you would really need. And guys, I know this seems super basic. Zillow.com, auction.com, I get it. But yours truly made millions of dollars from these sites in the very beginning. I would go to Zillow, I would go to auction.com, I would write these addresses down on a piece of paper. I would simply skip trace them on a free site like True People Search, or drive to them and door knock. Guys, I made millions. I kid you not, with no technology, no extra scrapers online, Didn't go to fancy resources that are all over the place. I used these free resources. This is a perfect place for you to get started. Now, are these all of the sources for pre-foreclosure data? Absolutely not. Just in my market, there's all kinds of different sites, and I'm continually finding more information. And of course, if you're watching this video, you're probably not from Kansas City, you're from all over the country. What I'm wanting from you from watching this video is to get started. Familiarize yourself with your city, your market. Look at Zillow and find the foreclosures there. Look at auction.com. See what foreclosures are there. See what type of attorneys are involved. Familiarize yourself with the process. Start documenting this data in some type of Google sheet that allows you to keep track of what auctions are coming up and what houses you're gonna go to or cold call and try to have a conversation with these sellers. Now, should you as an investor be doing this task every day? You personally should not. This is a $10 an hour task. You need to be out there having the conversations, making the calls, doing the door knocks, sending the emails and the texts. You should not be the one keeping track of the data. So who should do this for you? Well, you have a couple of different options. You can either delegate it out to someone on your current team, if you have that person, maybe an admin. Perhaps you could hire a VA that you could train, make videos, show them where to go in terms of finding this data. Or shameless plug, I have a company named Niche Data where we have built some technology using AI to where we can scrape this data nationwide. That data would then be cleaned, it would be organized, it would be skip traced, and not only that, it would be appended with daily updated information from local attorney sites, so you would always have the most updated information. Having the best data is going to help you win in this industry. I want you focused on those conversations, but I think it's going to change a lot of lives and help you be up to date with your information and focused on the high leverage tasks, not those admin tasks. So start poking around on those two sites, Zillow, auction.com. Really start familiarizing yourself with the information. Start swirling some ideas around on how you can get that information automated, whether that be through a teammate, a VA, using niche data, whatever you decide, start taking action, start having these conversations. I'm getting messages daily from people in my DMs that have watched my YouTube videos, have watched my content, have started taking action, and they're getting their first deal and making 10 grand. I got a message the other day where a person had done 4 deals in 1 month and made over $100,000. I've even had one person that is making around $250,000 a month with the niche strategy. So no matter where you are in your journey, you've got to start. Utilizing these free resources like Zillow and auction.com can help you get that first deal, can help unlock your mind, and can help you start down the road making a lot of money with niche deals and making an impact for a lot of families. I hope this has been helpful and got your mind going. I would love to hear about your wins. Post them down in the comments. I want to hear about your first deal, your 50th deal. No matter how many deals you've done, I love seeing the success stories down in the comments. Share those. It not only helps me know that I'm teaching the right things, but inspires others to take action. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.
All right, today we're gonna go out and do some door knocking. Cool thing about door knocking is you have no idea what's going to happen. You may have really good conversations. You may not have any conversations, but if you can come into it with the attitude that no matter what house you're at, you're gonna maximize that opportunity, you'll find opportunity. So if you have a conversation, great, get that phone number. If you don't have a conversation, you're speaking with neighbors, you're looking for insights, you're doing whatever you can to drum up business. So we're gonna go knock as many doors as we can here in a couple hours and see what comes of it. So we're about to go up to our first door. When you go up to these doors, you want to be a little bit prepared. You'd like to have a little bit of information like when is the foreclosure sale, or who is their lender, who is their foreclosure attorney. That way when you speak to them, you can sound a little bit more educated. So I'm about to go speak to this seller. They happen to be in the driveway. I don't know if it's the homeowner or someone else, but we'll see if they're open to a conversation. Hey there. My name is Michael. I'm so sorry to bug you. Just noticed that Millsap and...
We're fine. Thank you.
Just...
We've had some harder with people, please. Yes, we're fine. Thank
Okay, thank you. So they answered, but completely shut me down. They didn't even let me speak at all. Basically said they'd been bombarded with a lot of other people trying to talk to them. This particular house has been up for foreclosure 3 or 4 times now. So these people definitely know their way around the process of getting it stopped. And they're just not to the point where they're ready to talk to anyone. And don't be offended when that happens. Don't question yourself or what you're doing. They're just not ready to talk to you yet. This game is a follow-up game, so you've got to get out there, do enough marketing activities. Some people aren't your clients. They're not your people. And that's okay. Hopefully they take care of it themselves. If you keep putting yourself out there enough, eventually they may want to speak to you. No is just not right now. On to the next. Even though I got shut down, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. It doesn't stop me from being motivated to go to the next house. And guess what? I didn't die. They said no. Who cares? I mean, hopefully they've got it figured out, but don't take it personally or let it get under your skin when these people shut you down. You have to remember, you're a stranger off the street. It's unlikely that she was just gonna, let me in and roll out the red carpet. Making money is not easy. That's why you have to do enough activities to where you find the people that really need your help. That person may not need an investor's help, and that's fine. But we put ourselves out there, and at some point they're gonna run out of other options. They're not gonna be able to do a loan modification. They're not gonna be able to do bankruptcy. They're gonna have to do something with the house, and it's just a matter of time. So we are at our next one. This one happened to be close by. And this is actually another repeat offender. This guy's been up probably 5 or 6 times in the past. So we came up to this house. Like I said, I've been here multiple times. Come up to the front door and kind of see what I'm observing. You got to keep your eyes open and know what's going on. But if you pan in, that is a certified mail letter from his foreclosure attorney. And at the same time, Austin, if you can look on the ground here, there's a little notice there is from Evergy. That is our energy company in Kansas City. It says that the power's been shut off to the house. And if you look inside the house, you can see that everything's disheveled, everything's moved around. It's clear that someone has moved out and this house is vacant. So what is the tendency now? If you're a guy knocking doors, you're gonna say, oh, it's vacant. I don't know what to do now. But that's when the game begins. Because now, if it was my team, I would report in our system that this was vacant and it needed researched. So we would begin the vacant house process, skip trace this homeowner, try to contact them by phone, by text, by Facebook message, by email, any means necessary. We're finding a address that he may have moved to by a utility record. We're doing everything we can to try to get a contact with the seller. That way, hopefully, we could come and meet him here, knowing that he's already emotionally detached from the house, and see if we can come up with a solution that helps him get his foreclosure sale stopped. But he's not here, so I'm gonna mark that in my CRM as vacant, and my team will get started on trying to find him, and we'll get on to the next house. So for those of you who are wondering how I chose the houses that I'm gonna door knock in this video, all I did was take a list that I use called the last 10-day list. So those are all the houses that have 10 days or less until the foreclosure sale. I average right around 5.25 days before a foreclosure sale when I get a contract. So if you can kind of circle the drain, so to speak, on properties that are less than 10 days out, a lot of those people are coming down to the end to where they've tried to do a loan modification, they failed. They tried to speak to their family about getting some money to reinstate, and it failed. Maybe they're looking into bankruptcy, but perhaps they're open to a cash sale or subject to. So that's why we go over after those people that have 10 days or less, just because their time's running short. And you're not trying to take advantage of these folks, but the reality is that they probably aren't going to be able to handle it by themselves, and that's where we as niche investors can shine. And it's using our resources and our power team to be able to stop these people's foreclosure sales at a moment notice and get them on a path to a new life that's a little bit more positive. So we're on our way to our third one. This sale is actually a little bit more than 10 days out. It's about 13 days out, but I'm going to go there anyway just because it's in our path, and we'll see if anyone wants to have a conversation. So this is also a repeat offender. Take note when properties have 2, 3, 4 cars in the driveway like this one. It might all be the homeowner's cars, but it might be minors or kids in high school that drive. Obviously, if you come across young children, just politely leave. You don't need them understanding what their parents are going through. And more than likely, if the seller finds out that you spoke to their kid, you're done. So just move on, try to connect with them in another way. I've actually spoken to this lady in the past on the phone. I don't know if she'll remember me. It's probably been about a year since I've talked to her. So we're gonna go up there, door knock it. Looks like someone's home at least. So we will see how it goes.
Good luck.
I don't need that.
Break a leg.
You'll notice that when I come to these houses, you don't just knock and immediately leave. Okay? Linger for a minute. Sometimes it takes them a minute to get here. And then try to present yourself a little bit farther away from the door. You don't want to be right up in the door and make them feel a little bit anxious. So give them some space for if they do open the door. Hi there.
Hi.
Are you the homeowner?
No.
Is either of your parents home?
Yeah, why?
My name's Michael. I just wanted to speak with them about the home here.
It's about foreclosure.
I don't know what you know. I don't like to talk about it with the kids, but it sounds like you already know. But I didn't know if they were available to speak about it. I'm just here to help.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay.
We have contacted the bank.
Okay.
There is no foreclosure.
Okay.
So,
I'm seeing it on the 29th, so there might be a mistake.
yeah, we called today.
Perfect. Okay. I think your mom is that right? I've spoken to her before, so she has my phone number. If anything happens to go wrong or there's a mistake on the bank's end or something is going awry, feel free to have her give me a call.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. That was actually the adult child. Looked to be in college age or something. Clearly knew about the foreclosure. I didn't really want to talk about it with her, and she was going to go speak with her mom to come out and talk to me. But they said that the bank was not foreclosing on the house. Well, it came back on the list this morning. It's a couple weeks out. So they're still in that denial phase, even though they've gone through this process 3 or 4 times now. But you just have to keep after it. You have to understand that these people, some of them are completely incapable of taking care of the situation on their own. Some are very intelligent, capable people. They just have gone through a bad patch in their life. And that's exactly how those people are. They both are very nice people. I've spoken to them multiple times. They just are in a bad spot and they're trying to dig their way out. And they just don't want to accept help. And you can't force people to accept our help. All you can do is keep showing up, keep showing that you support them, keep showing that you care, and eventually down the line, if they decide your goal is to be the one that's the top of mind that they want to talk to, the only one that they trust. So, again, we made a contact. That's a win. We got in a short conversation there. They know my face. Her mother does have my phone in her phone, and I'll probably give her a call, maybe a text here in a few days. I don't want to just overwhelm her. I could call her on the phone right now, but she clearly didn't want to talk. So I'll set a reminder in my CRM, and perhaps early next week, I'll give them a call and see if they're more open to it. So I actually just got an email from my VA. Each day they send me the new foreclosure listings and the new appointments. That's the name of a notice of default here in Kansas City. And she just sent me those appointments. And there's one about a mile from me. So it's very valuable when a property has a notice of default or the foreclosure sale is set. There's going to be a subset of people that want to solve that problem right away. So you really want to be there first to, of course, try to have a conversation. But if not, you can at least get the lay of the land of the house, see if it's vacant, see if you can get any information to get an edge. So we're going to go take a look at that house and see if we can have a conversation with the seller. So we just pulled up to an appointment, one that's in a notice of default. It does not have a foreclosure sale set yet, so they've got some time. Clearly this house is in distress, very overgrown, not taken care of. There's a truck in the driveway, so we'll see if someone's home and just see if I can at least alert them of the situation in a kind way, see if I can diffuse them and have a good conversation, knowing that there's no pressure yet for the foreclosure sale, and I just want to position myself as a trusted advisor for down the road and see if they'd be willing to talk. Hey there. My name's Michael. How are you?
Good.
So the reason I dropped by, I just noticed your lender was giving you grief on the house here, and they had started foreclosure process. There's not a date set yet, but I just want to drop by, see if I could give you some information on all the things you could do to stop foreclosure, and just be helpful for you.
What do I need to do to stop the foreclosure? Well, I got somebody who wants to buy it.
Yeah, and I buy houses as well, but really my job is just to walk you through all your options and just be someone that could aid you and give you all the resources you need. Would you want to go through those?
Got a guy who wants to buy it.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Who's that? I'm just curious, a family friend or investor?
Down the street. Guy who owns Diamond Muffler.
Yeah. Would you want to go through those options while I'm here? I mean, there's no pressure at all. I just want to give you all the options. That way you can make a good decision for yourself.
Well, I wanted him to buy it so I can get out from underneath it.
So you're wanting to sell.
Yeah.
Would you be open to another offer? I mean, the way we're a turnkey situation to where we of course can buy the house, but then we can do, a post-possession period to where we could help you find new housing, we could help you move, we could connect you with whatever resources you need. We just want to have the process be as easy as possible. I don't know how that gentleman operates, but we help people out of foreclosure. That's all we do. And I was actually in foreclosure back in 2014 myself, so I know how that feels. And I would have wanted someone to come beside me, walk me through the whole thing, and have a team behind you that can give you whatever you need to get to the next phase of your life.
Well, they're going to retire in September, and that's what I
Oh
want.
yeah? What do you do?
I work at the post office.
Oh, cool. You over here on Market or
No, I'm up downtown.
downtown?
I'm a ramp clerk. I go downtown, clock in, get a van, go up to the airport.
Okay.
I work all night, so
So what do you, I know you want to sell, you want to get to the next phase. I mean,
well, see, I wanted to sell it to him and then rent it out to him until I retire and then leave.
oh, you wanted to rent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted
Another
to sell-
option.
I wanted to sell it to him so I could rent.
So another option that I have,
Retire.
and I'd be happy to go through all those. One of them is called Subject To. Subject To is like a fancy way of saying that I could catch up the money that's behind. Do you know how much you're behind, give or take?
Shit. Probably about, I want to say it's somewhere around 9 or 10 grand.
Okay. So one of those things that we offer is bringing that mortgage current. We would take ownership of the house, and you could stay here as a tenant for as long as you wanted to, or until we found something else for you. That's one thing we offer. That's why I wanted to go through all these options. That way you could be aware of every avenue that you could take. That would be helpful for you, and be the solution that you wanted.
Right. Yeah. I gotta do something for that.
Yeah.
I got a lot of shit in here. My wife passed away.
Oh, jeez. When was that?
2022.
Oh.
September.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Was that expected, or?
Not really. It was. It wasn't. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I just want to get out.
Yeah. Well, I know I caught you out of the blue here. Would you want to have a further conversation right now, or would you like me to come back? My office is actually, I'm in the old bridge space. You said you were a mail guy, so we're in the old post office there, downtown Lee Summit. That's where our office is, but I'd be happy to come back and set another time to talk.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Okay. When would you like to speak again?
Monday probably better because I work all night.
Yeah. I didn't wake you up, did I?
A little bit.
A little bit. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sorry. I got kiddos, so they keep me up all night, so I value my sleep too. Well, would it be okay if I just grabbed your number? That way on Monday, I could give you a call, or I could just stop by.
Yeah, either way.
Okay. Well, I know it's not ideal what's going on, but at least I got a hold of you early. That way there's not just some type of mad dash. What's your last name, Daniel?
Liska, Liska.
What's a good phone number for you, Daniel?
816-560-4771. That's my cell number.
Okay. I'm going to shoot you a text. My name's Michael Franke, and I'm with, I own East West Properties. I'm going to send that to you. But feel free to look us up on Google. We've stopped hundreds and hundreds of foreclosure sales and helped so many families. You can check us out on Google and see all those reviews. But would there be a good time on Monday for me to pop by?
Well, just give me a call.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'll let you know if I'm home or not.
Sure. Because you said you work nights.
Yeah, but I'm off Saturday night and Sunday night.
Yeah. So what time do you usually get up? I don't want to wake you up.
I'm usually up early on Monday morning. So.
Okay. Well, can I at least shake your hand?
Yeah.
All right. And then if you want my business card, here's that as well. But I also texted it to your phone.
Okay.
But if it's okay with you, can I give you a call around 10 or 11 on Monday?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. Good deal, man. Well, have a good weekend. If you have any questions at all, feel free to shoot me a text, and happy to chat.
Will do. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. So, guys, that was my fourth knock. You see the power of getting to a notice of default quick. I was the first person to that guy's house day one of it being a notice of default. And you could tell from the very beginning of the conversation, yeah, I'm wanting to sell. I just want to get out from under this place. My wife passed away. There's a lot going on. So there's someone on this street. I recognize the street because I live close by. But there's a guy that owns a lot of these as rentals. So he's wanting to stay for quite a while. That's his thing. So as an investor, is it technically smart to buy a house subject to and let the homeowner stay there that's already behind on payments? No, it's not for everyone. But if you can buy this house at a discount enough to where you can account for all that risk, or if you have a lot of experience and you're willing to do that, it can be a great option. So I just wanted to present that as an option. That way he was willing to have an appointment. So I'm 4 houses in, had a great conversation, and now I have an appointment on Monday to come by and talk to him further, and he's really motivated to sell. So you guys see how quickly door knocking can get you a deal, or at least an opportunity. I mean, I've been at this for, what, an hour? And already have an appointment? Is that typical? No, it's not. But if you get to places that are motivated that are niche, and you're there to serve, and you have good conversations and act like a human, good things are going to happen. And I have a feeling we can serve this guy at a high level. So I look forward to talking to him here in a few days, and hopefully we can get something done with him.
And that wasn't even originally on your list.
No, like that's why it's so important to have speed to lead. I'm not getting data 30, 60, 90 days later. I immediately went over there, and you can see where you can generate money out of thin air just by knowing where to go. So let that be a lesson to you that you have to develop these systems around the data so that you can get there fast and you can be the first one there to provide value. And that's what niche is all about. You get the data, you're able to find insights from the data, and you're able to go take action on the data immediately, and of course generate money, but you're also able to serve. If you're the person in your market that can provide the most value in terms of helping that person and make sure that the auction's saved, you want to be there first. You don't want to leave it to perhaps those other investors that maybe don't treat people as well. It's a core value of niche, is truly loving your people, treating them right, and getting them to the next phase of their life peacefully. This is a house I wholesaled.
Where at?
Right here.
The black one?
Yeah. Let's just go see. Let's go say hi. So, obviously we're out door knocking. We're trying to help people in foreclosure and all this stuff get contracts. But keep your eye open for opportunity. I happened to be driving past a house that I wholesaled to another investor and saw all the contractor vehicles out front. No matter how long you've been in this business, having good partners is the key to success. So I went in there. I'd never met that contractor before and got his contact information, and I'll probably turn that over to my TC and my project manager. And perhaps down the road when we have a project, we could at least let them bid it out. But you're always looking for contractors, you're always looking for partners, you're always looking for private money, and you're obviously always looking for deals. So even if you're out door knocking, there's other opportunity that can stem from that activity. It doesn't just have to be focused on door knocking. Keep your eyes open for all opportunity. And so just in the last couple minutes, set an appointment with the seller, came up with a new contact for potential contracting. So yeah, really productive hour or so. But this last house has also been through the foreclosure process multiple times. I was actually hot after this deal before, and the seller was still in the home, but they were slowly moving out of the house. They had kind of disconnected with it. And I want to say there ended up being some title issues, perhaps some probate issues, and they got the sale stopped last time without my help. They kind of ghosted me, but the sale came back up again today. So again, this is a lesson to where you gotta have speed to lead. I've not been to this house in probably 6 or 8 months, but the foreclosure sale was released today. I think that sale's in about 3 weeks. So we're gonna check out the house, see if there's any developments, and see if we can help this seller out. So immediately upon walking up to the house, you can see that it's vacant. You'll see the management stickers up top. That's when a lender deems a property vacant, and then they come to the house, they winterize it, they make sure the house is secure, all the doors are locked. They just want to make sure their asset is secure in case the home forecloses. So let's go take a look at those papers, just make sure what they say. So if you look closely at the papers, there is a management company that has secured the property. They have deemed the property vacant and abandoned. And then, oops, slammed my head on the door. If you look inside, there's just a bunch of stuff. It looks like they kind of just left it. So this house is empty. It's a prime house in our market. We would love to buy it. What we're gonna do, we're gonna go back to the car, give a few phone calls to numbers that I have from them last time, and see if they're open to a conversation. Feel free to Put the blooper of me smacking my face on the door. We keep it real up in here. So there's no time like the present. I actually have this seller's phone number. I'm gonna give her a call. I have no idea if she'll answer, but I'll give it a try.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
Hey, my name's Michael. We had talked, 6 months or so ago about your house over here on the street. I just wanted to check in on you. I noticed that the lender had set a new foreclosure sale here about 3 weeks, and you had been working with an agent last time, and you had it under contract. So I just wanted to check in with you. Hopefully all that's going well, and you're going to proceed with closing there. But it has been a while, so I just wanted to check, make sure everything was okay, and see if there was anything I could do to help. So feel free to give me a call back. Thanks. So she had actually been working with an agent, and the agent wanted to sell that property off market. I found this seller really early on in the foreclosure process before, but someone else, or the agent knew an investor friend and was going to go with them. But this was forever ago. They should have closed the house, and now it's back up for foreclosure sale. So I'm going to call that agent now and see if they have any updates on the property.
Hello?
My name's Michael with Chartwell. We had probably talked, a handful of months ago about a property in Lee Summit that was in pre-foreclosure.
Okay.
And I know at last time we spoke, you had a contract with another investor, and you were going to move forward with that. But I noticed it was back up for foreclosure here in a few weeks, and I just wanted to check in, see if there was anything I could do to help.
No, they let it go to foreclosure, so I'm not even part of the transaction anymore.
So, and that's fine, but that house did not foreclose. The auction was stopped last time, and the new auction is set for early March. So there's plenty of time, and I'm more than happy to help. So
The seller has elected to not move forward with selling it. So
is there any particular reason for that? Why would she want the equity to go back to the bank instead of herself?
it's her house. I can't answer
Right.
that, and I'm not.
Right, I understand.
I'm not.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just here to help. I'm not here to argue. I want to be your teammate.
Well, I wanted to sell the house, but again, if my client wants to do something
Sure.
different.
Well, what you can do is this, Monica. I know you want a commission. I would love to get you paid as well. So if you want to, just reach out to her and let her know that an investor from last time around had reached out, and that the foreclosure didn't actually happen last time, and that there's still time to fix the situation. And I'm more than happy to help, and it would make it super easy on her. And if she doesn't want to, that's her prerogative. But I just want to give her the opportunity to move forward if she's open to it.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if I followed up within a handful of days, just kind of see how that conversation goes?
That's fine.
Okay. Well, good deal, Monica. Well, I won't keep you. I just wanted to inform you and figured you'd want a commission on it if it was possible.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Monica. Good connecting with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oop. So, for whatever reason, the seller thought that the home foreclosed. I don't exactly know her thought process on that. And that agent had got disconnected from the seller and was basically, I don't want to put any more work in it if I'm not going to get a commission. But notice if you try to come their direction a little bit and make sure that they know that they're going to get paid, all of a sudden the tune changes a little bit. I don't know what will happen with that, but you got to take your shot. The tendency would have been to go up to that house, see it was vacant, and be like, okay, it's vacant, what do you do now? But I immediately came down, made a couple calls. I have no idea if that agent will call the seller and set something up for me. But at this point, you just got to take your shot, do the marketing activity, write that down in your CRM, and say, hey, I'm going to follow up with that agent here in a few days. If she doesn't do anything, of course, I will continue to go direct to the seller. But it's kind of nice when you have that additional layer of support with that agent that already has trust with the seller. So we'll continue to follow up. But guys, this was about 90 minutes of door knocking today. We hit a handful of houses. I would have liked to hit more. But you can see how quickly you can gain traction. And you can see the wide range of interactions you can have. On the first door knock, we got completely shut down. It doesn't feel good when that happens, but you can't quit. You got to keep going. So then we found a vacant property. Then we actually had a wonderful conversation with a seller that I'm going to meet for an appointment here soon. And then we found another vacant property here and are trying to make inroads to set another appointment. So there's no excuse to not go out there, take action, and do the marketing activities that get you opportunities to speak with these sellers. I'll see you on the next one.
Today we're going to listen to a call with a seller that was in pre-foreclosure. I happened to make a few cold calls. This was my very first cold call of the day. And it was interesting, this seller had been contacted in multiple different ways. He made it very clear that people were approaching him, door knocking him, leaving sticky notes on the house. He felt really disrespected by that, and that was an invasion of his space. That's why it's so important to market to these sellers in different channels, whether it be cold calling or door knocking or direct mail. Each person's going to respond to marketing in different ways. That's why you want to hit them in different ways. That way, one of those channels will resonate with them, and hopefully you'll set an appointment. So watch this call, take notes, and leave a comment of your biggest takeaway from the call.
It expired in March, about a year ago, I think.
Okay.
And I am a practicing attorney.
Okay.
And I have bills outstanding to clients, but the clients haven't paid the bills. The bills would be enough to pay off.
I see.
My credit line of credit, but the clients aren't paying at this point, and so I have the option of suing them.
Okay.
Or continuing to push them for payment, and suing them doesn't mean I'm going to get paid quickly either.
Right.
At least that is an option out there. So the insurance company gave me some extra time to accomplish that, but the client, the one in particular that I'm talking about, said to me I guess it was earlier this month, saying, well, yeah, I said I was going to pay that, but I'm not prepared to do that at this time. So you'll have to continue to pursue payment from the entity that legally owes me the money. The former owner of the business had promised he would take care of this, but he didn't.
Right.
So
would your lender be opening to renewing the term, do you think?
I don't think they would be unless I brought it almost completely current. I'm sure there would be a number that would be low enough that they'd be willing to do it. But
because do you know how far you are?
The balance is about $230,000.
Okay.
Well, that was before they stopped taking payments on interest, so it might be up to $240 by now.
Okay.
The house was appraised by the county in 2023 at being worth $660,000, I think, something like in that neighborhood.
Yeah, because you've got quite a bit of land out there, don't you?
I do. I own a total of 20 acres, and his appraisal was for the front 7 acres and the house, and then on that same property, 2 40 by 6 foot sheds, machine sheds, more than buildings, basically.
Okay. And then I know you got the equity line there. They're wanting to call it due. Do you know, give or take, how far you are behind on the payments on that?
Well, I just told you it's a home equity line of credit, so they want the full balance.
I understand.
It's not like they accept a partial payment. In fact, they won't. I've given them payments. I think the last was probably about October, where I gave them the full amount of the interest, and they returned it to me.
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
A corporate decision. So that's why I think they're terribly likely to want to refinance with them. So.
Okay. Well, that kind of rules out the second option. Second option was going to be a loan modification, but it sounds like they're calling it due, so that's not really an option. Third option is my least favorite, but it's effective, being that you're an attorney. You would know you can file Chapter 13 and stop the sale, buy you some time. I don't know if you've thought about that at all.
I'm sorry, by use of a what plan? Is that what you said?
A Chapter 13 bankruptcy.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Yeah.
But I didn't hear the word that you used at the end of your sentence. Your voice kind of trailed off.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you filed that, it would stop the sale and it would buy you some time, and hopefully, hopefully during that time, some of your clients would do what's right and get you some money for your services. But obviously, that stays on your record for a long, long time, 7-8 years. So I don't like the option, but if you need a Hail Mary to stop the sale, that would do it.
Right.
Okay.
I am aware of that option.
Right.
Not something I terribly wanted to do. Another option that I've talked to my ex-wife, who has most of my money, and had invited her to see this property, as I mentioned, is 21 acres.
Yeah.
And we built the house 34 years ago, and
Okay.
I know it well. And we would like to keep it in the family if possible.
Of course.
I think my ex-wife is a little bit on the vindictive side, though. And when I broached the possibility with her, she didn't quite use the words I'm about to use, but she basically said, "Oh, I'll just buy it out of bankruptcy. We'll keep the house. Don't worry about that."
Yeah.
But she's kind of got an attitude of kicking me out. And
Oh, I see.
whatever equity I have. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it was kind of a
Yeah.
divorce.
No, I'm
too,
sorry.
so,
I'm very sorry.
well,
It's life. It's life. So that is the bankruptcy is an option. You can pursue that up until, a few minutes before the foreclosure sale if you wanted to. So there's time on that. So fourth option, you've mentioned it before, cash sale. Obviously, you want to keep it within the family. So we've done this a few times. So I'm just going to spitball some ideas with you. We have many, many times bought a property. The homeowner wanted to stay there. They've gone through whatever situation. It's just a tough time. And then once they got qualified for a loan, sold it back for a reasonable profit. We're actually closing on one. We had a townhome over in Lee Summit, and the guy stayed there and rented from us the whole time, and we got him paired with our lender, and he ended up getting approved, and we are going to sell that back to him here. The beginning of March. So we do that pretty regularly. So that's an option, at least, to where you wouldn't have to leave the home, and we could get you paired with our lender who has approved the unapprovable. Not that your credit's really bad or anything, but she's helped some people that, probably shouldn't be getting loans, get loans over the years. And I imagine that given your standing as an attorney, it probably wouldn't be too difficult over a year, 18 months, to get back in that spot. So that's definitely an option. So, and then the last option, I don't know if the lender would agree to it because they're trying to call it due, but it's worth a conversation with them. It's called subject to. I don't know if you've heard of that term, but basically it's a fancy way of saying that I could bring a loan current, pay the past due. Again, this is all subject to them even allowing that. But we would bring it current. We would take ownership of the property, and you could stay there as a tenant. And at the closing, we could potentially get you, a good amount of cash. And then down the line, if you wanted to buy it back, you could. Or if you just decided, I want to rinse my hands of this place, sell it, then we could come up with some type of partnership agreement on the remaining equity of the house. And of course, that would require another conversation and a lot of details, but I just wanted to give you a ring, let you know that you had some options, and you have an investor. Yeah.
Go ahead. Finish your sentence, please.
But, most of those investors, they're going to lowball you to death. And of course, I want to make money. I'm an investor, but at the same time, I want you to win as well. And there's creative ways that, we could keep you in the house so life doesn't change, and then potentially have you buy it back. But, real estate's fun because it's creative. So we could do a whole bunch of different things. And I just wanted to give you a ring. Got a couple weeks here, so plenty of time. But Didn't want it to be a 911 at the end there.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate your call. And if I would like to get your contact information via text or email or something.
Happy to do that.
And we can go from there. As I said, I've gotten at least 5 different Post-it notes.
Yeah, I imagine.
I don't really appreciate people doing that.
Yeah.
I'm in the book. It's not hard to find me.
Right. Well, how about this? I will send you my contact information. I'll shoot you a text with my company name, and email as well. And then, would you want to connect sometime next week, or what would you like my next step to be? I don't want to be intrusive.
Yeah, we can connect this coming week. That would be fine. I mean, I know since I built this house, I'm not going to bore you with details, but when I general contracted it, I bought the land, I general contracted the house. I've been in charge of the repairs and dealing with the contractors. I had a guy put in a ground source heat pump system. I've got solar panels out back, etc. So I know a lot about this place, and I would really prefer some way to keep it in the family. And I'm just frustrated with my client, and of course I have confidentiality concerns about that. All I can realistically tell you is they've forced me around, and there's some concern that the corporate entity might go belly up as well. And that's where the prior owner comes in, because he has an indemnity obligation to me anyway. And so anyway, the bottom line is I'd like to push on that and get that resolved, but as I said, I recently got word that he was not going to voluntarily do that. I don't think that means he won't ultimately do it, but he was pushing me to go back against the corporate entity. And he may frankly have some influence, some idea of trying to push the new owner into bankruptcy himself. So he's got his own agenda going on there that is not part of mine. I don't care. I just assume stay in business, but anyway, not my concern to anyone. I appreciate very much you sent me something, and we could talk sometime. I'd say later in the week.
Okay.
I've got a brief due in the federal court in Kansas, and it's turning into a bigger, more complicated issue than I thought it was when I started working on it. So I'm trying to focus my attention on that.
Very good.
Focused.
Well, how about this? I'll probably shoot you a text if that's all right, maybe on Thursday or something like that, and just kind of see where you're at with things. Okay,
but you're not going to wait to send me your contact information before
No,
that, right?
I'll send that right away.
Okay, that'll work just fine.
All right.
I'm glad you called.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to connect, and
leave me notes.
yeah. Well, good deal. Well, I'll let you get back to your Saturday here, but I'll shoot you a text here in just a second.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Goodbye.
So I decided to cold call some leads. That was my first call. Number 1. It was on True People Search, the first number. You heard what he said. A lot of people have been coming by the house. They're leaving stuff in his mailbox. They're leaving sticky notes on the door. Do those work? Absolutely. Have I made millions of dollars from doing that? Of course I have. But you can tell that he appreciated that I didn't just show up at his house. I took the time to call him on the phone. He said, yep, I'm an open book. I'm easy to find online. So guys, when you're thinking about contacting the sellers, does every marketing source work? Absolutely. But think about what everyone else is doing. They're texting, they're leaving notes on the door. They're doing all the things that everyone else is doing. Do the things that are a little bit more difficult. I know it's a little bit scary to get on the phone, but you can tell that he appreciated that. So again, do the hard things, be where other people aren't, and you will set appointments and you will get contracts and pre-foreclosures. Hopefully this is helpful.
Behind me is a house that I bought out of pre-foreclosure and made $70,000 profit on. But this isn't a video about making profit. This is a video about following up. So rule number 1 when marketing to niche lists is to not underestimate how many touches it's going to take to get a hold of a homeowner. In this particular case in the house we just visited, we actually contacted this homeowner 117 times, which seems a little bit shocking. You might think, isn't that a little bit much? But most people think that follow-ups are only going to be texts or cold calls. But there's actually a lot of different ways that you can follow up with someone. So in our company, we follow up in 7 different ways. Text, email, video message, which not a lot of you do, direct mail, cold call, Facebook message, and door knock. So I'm going to break down each one of these, and I actually went back in my CRM and my phone, and I figured out how many times I actually followed up. I want to break all that down for you, and then at the end, show you how much I made per follow-up and how much I made per hour on the deal. That way, when you're getting a little bit bummed, when you're getting told no over and over and over in your marketing, that you just got to do one more follow-up, one more reach out, and that could be the one that ends up getting you the deal. So let's go ahead and start breaking this down. I went back in my CRM, I looked at my texts, and I actually sent 42 text messages to this seller. Now keep in mind, this is over a 12-week period, so it's not like I'm barraging them like crazy. It might be a text or 2 a day. You're not trying to overwhelm people, you're really trying to give them value in every interaction that you have. So that was the text messages, and the emails, I followed up 12 times. I actually have a drip set up in my CRM, so I'm not having to manually send out all those emails. I pre-formatted all of them, and then as soon as that lead hits my CRM, it knows, hey, I'm going to send one this week and perhaps one next week, and then hopefully over time that seller will reach out. Okay, our next reach out method is a video message, and on that one I actually reached out a total of 7 times. There's tons of investors reaching out to these folks, but everyone's sending a text or leaving a voicemail. They're very informal and impersonal. What if you left a quick 20 to 30 second, really personal video where you address them by name, kind of say a little blurb about their situation, and really come across as genuine and someone that really wants to help? It's really going to stand out with the seller. So that's something that you could implement in your marketing as soon as possible with all of your leads, not just people that are in pre-foreclosure. Okay, so let's move up here to direct mail. This is another thing that I have automated in my office. I have a lady that does them for me, and I have a different service that sends out my direct mail. So we had that on a drip of about once a week on average. So again, this was a 12-week process. We hit them up with about 12 different pieces of direct mail. Each of these pieces of mail has a little bit different message, and as we get closer to that foreclosure date, we're getting a little bit more intense with trying to talk to them. The next one is cold call. I actually called this lady a grand total of 27 times. And what's funny is I went back and looked in the CRM, and the first time I called, I got a hold of her, but she immediately hung up the phone, she was upset, and then she blocked me. So I could have given up after that first contact, but I actually got a few different phone numbers in my CRM and I was able to keep following up. But we followed up 27 times here. Now, one of our bread and butter ways to get a hold of someone is through door knocking. And I door knocked this lady a total of 6 times. This house is about 10 minutes from my office, so it wasn't too bad of a drive. But the first time I went there, I realized, hey, this house is vacant. Okay? That enabled me to realize, hey, I might have to go look for her somewhere else. So I looked in the county tax records and I found a utility record to where she was actually in a rental on the other side of the city, and I actually went and door knocked that one as well. So don't think you're confined to just the house that you're trying to door knock. You might have to look if it's vacant to see where else that seller might be. And the last way that we try to reach people is Facebook messages, and don't think it's just confined to Facebook. You could be reaching out to people on LinkedIn or any type of channel that they might have their social media presence. So I reached out to her 11 times. And what's crazy is after the 116th contact, I almost gave up. I was like, I really want this house. It's in the town that I live in. I really want this deal, but I just can't get a hold of the seller. So I remember sitting in my desk and I was just really kind of frustrated. What is it that I have to do to get a hold of the seller? She just clearly doesn't want help. And then something just popped in my head. Hey, look at her Facebook profile one more time and give it one more shot. So I went to her Facebook profile, I looked through it carefully, and I noticed a few pictures of her with another gentleman. His name was Brian. I went to his profile and it confirmed that he was her boyfriend. So I reached out and I sent him a Facebook message and said, look, your girlfriend has a foreclosure sale in 2 days. She has a ton of equity. I just can't get a hold of her. Is there anything you can do to help me out? So 2 minutes later, the lady, she doesn't even call me. She doesn't even send a text like, hey, can you help? She actually sent me a picture of her mortgage statement and said, can we meet at the house? So this game takes persistence. I had reached out 116 times with no success, but it took that 117th time, taking one extra step to end up setting that appointment. After I got her text message, we got on a brief call. She kind of explained the situation, that she had had a child pass away the year before, and it was truly heartbreaking, and she just could not stay in the house anymore, and she moved in with her boyfriend. That's why the house was vacant and why she didn't want to address the situation. So we got on the call, we ended up setting an appointment for later that evening, and I was able to meet with them. So that evening we had the appointment. They did not want to go in the house at all. They were so embarrassed of the situation because there was actually a pipe burst and there was mold all over the house. So they actually stayed out in the driveway. I went in the house, took a look at it, got all my pictures, went back out. They didn't want to be here at all because of everything that had happened. They wanted to go to a local McDonald's and discuss all the details. The seller sat down with me at this McDonald's. She pulled out her mortgage statement. She said, Michael, I owe $67,000 on the house. I know it's in terrible condition. I highly doubt that you'd even pay the $67,000 to pay it off, but it would be life-changing if you could give us $80,000. That would give us enough to catch up some bills. I said, you know, I really can't do 80, and her shoulders kind of slumped. But I said, 80's too low. What I can do is give you 100. As an investor, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to make money. But at the end of the day, I am here to serve people. And did I make a lot of money on the deal? I did. But I wanted to give her a little bit extra because that extra 20 grand was going to be massive for her. She didn't have any money in her bank account. Instead of giving her 13,000 bucks, she ended up making about 33 and was just completely stunned and started crying and gave me a big hug. And that's what I'm here for, is of course to make profit, but I put people over the profit. She's not going to remember all the text messages and Facebook messages and cold calls. She's going to remember how I made her feel by following up. So that's why it's so important to stay persistent and keep following up no matter how many times it takes. So like I said at the beginning of the video, it's going to take a lot of touches to get contracts in this. Don't be afraid of over-contacting. Like I said, it took me 117 touches in this situation. Does it always take that much? No, it doesn't. But this is just a great example of what type of persistence it takes to get a deal. So I want to reframe your mind a little bit on how to think about each particular reach out. So I made $70,000 on this deal. So a great profit. But think about how much I made for each reach out. So if you take that 70,000 divided by 117, take out your calculator real quick. Let's see what that ends up being. It means that every single reach out that I sent to the seller, I made $598. So instead of imagining that each time they don't respond, that's a no, imagine how much money you're making each time if you get that deal. That can just completely reframe and help you keep going when it does get difficult. But let's take it an extra step further. Let's figure out how much I made per hour on this property. So I'm going to make this number up a little bit, but let's assume that each reach out took me 3 minutes. So if you imagine a text or a piece of direct mail or a door knock, each interaction really doesn't take very long. So let's figure out how much time that is. So 117 reach outs multiplied by 3 minutes, that's 351 minutes. We'll divide that by 60, that's 5.85 hours. So if we know that $70,000 was our profit and it took 5.85 hours to get the deal, it ends up being about $11,965 an hour. And I think you would agree with me that that's probably worth your time, just like it's worth mine. So hopefully this video has kind of demonstrated to you how important it is to follow up and how important it is to keep after it, because not only are you after this to try to get a profit, but this lady at the very end, she said, thank you so much for keeping after me. I got all of your messages. I saw every single one. You were the only person that kept after me, and I just want to thank you for keeping after it and thinking about me as a person. That's the part of investing that I like just as much as the money, is that emotional income of really helping someone and setting them up for a situation that is much better moving forward. So while you're going through this process and you think that you're really pestering someone, don't think like that. They're seeing your messages, they're feeling your empathy, and when the time is right, they will reach out and you will end up getting the deal because you were the person that followed up.
Today I'm going to show you a full seller appointment of a seller that I found in pre-foreclosure. We're going to show you the entire conversation, the tour of the house, and even the conversation when I signed the contract subject to. I was able to find this seller through a Facebook message. I'd door knocked, I'd cold called him, I'd done all the other things, sent him a Facebook message and he answered. I showed up to our appointment and he actually ghosted me. And I told him as much in a future Facebook message. I simply sent him the ghost emoji. He responded, apologized, said that he was busy and asleep, and we ended up setting up this appointment. So get out your pen and paper, take a lot of notes. There's a lot of value in here that you can take and implement into your business. Hopefully get a contract or two. Enjoy.
Bashed in car window. Good sign of what's to come.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing? Hi, pups. You good dogs. I'm Michael.
All right, we'll start with the old side here.
All right. Well, catch me up to speed on all this, man. Sorry. You can be open with me, man. Take your time.
They saw me go from nothing to something, you know, and then lose it all.
Well, that ability's still in there, my man.
Yeah. And they know it. It's like, but it scares people because when you tell them I'm just following my calling, they don't get it.
Yeah.
It's most people in the world. But I have full confidence that everything is going to be so awesome. During COVID, I actually quit drinking, and I bought this house, and I started getting healthy, and that's where I lost favor with my business partners because they were drinking all the time. And
How can I help you here? I've stopped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these foreclosure sales. It's what I do. I love serving people in these situations.
Me too.
Because I've been here.
Yeah.
2014, I was a teacher.
Yeah.
It was a bad time.
Stressed, man.
I had just
Bad
gotten married.
stress on stress.
I couldn't afford it. No matter how hard I worked or how diligent I was behind. And we were down to our last, very few dollars. And we got behind, and fortunately I had a buddy that bailed us out, a few $1,000.
Good friend.
So I've been there. I know what that feels. I know how it feels not to know who to trust, but it's partially why I do this. It's because I love real estate. I love people. I like speaking into others about the Lord. It's cool that these conversations are kind of natural, and He just kind of comes up. But I just want to go through all your options, figure out, what one resonates with you.
Yeah.
And we can go down that path if you feel open to it.
Like I said, it's his plan. I would love to keep the property. I feel like, honestly, I would live here forever.
Yeah.
I might maybe have a beach house if I could.
There you go.
I have to be the man of the family because my dad cannot be. And, it's...
How's your mom able to deal with that?
She's not doing very well. I mean, she's trying. But from my point of view, it's very hard. And how can you... When you're drowning, it's like...
I know how that feels a little bit.
She needs to go find Jesus.
Yeah, my grandmother is beginning dementia. Not as far along as your father, it sounds like, but they had 6 children.
Wow. Blessed.
And so now one of them, she refuses to move from her land. She lives up north about an hour, and she's lived there for probably 60 years or something.
Yeah.
So she refuses to leave, but she cannot take care of herself. It's not safe. Like, she doesn't even know night from day, or when to go to bed, or when to eat, and all this stuff.
Right.
So one of the siblings is over there every day.
It's
So
such
we
a
can,
good family.
I can kind of relate to how taxing that is. So if it's just your mom primarily.
Yeah. What are my options?
So
first?
let's just go through these. There's 5 of them. Okay. First option is by far the best for you. It's called a reinstatement. That option basically says, hey, I'm X amount behind, 10,000, 15,000, whatever it might be. If you bring that current, all is well. So my hope is always that you can find that money yourself, or a family or friend could get it to you, or someone could loan it to you. So I don't know if you've pursued that at all, or...
I have not exhausted my options.
Yeah. So that's what I would prefer to have happen as someone in your sphere, or business partner, family member, come up with that money, and then all is well.
Yeah, I have a bunch of stock that I can't sell.
Yeah, but obviously the sale's Thursday afternoon. We got 3 business days. So definitely keep that at the back of your mind, but just know that we're here as a backup plan. So that's first option. I would definitely, make it your homework to speak to your buddies, your business partners, or family, see if they can come up with that type of money for you.
I'll just tell the truth on Facebook and tag my family and say, I need this. Will anybody save my house?
Second option, assuming that you're not able to come up with those funds, is a loan modification. Loan modification basically means your lender. Who's your lender in this house?
Citizens.
You would work with them, fill out their litany of paperwork, and hopefully they would wrap that into your loan.
I'll tell you, that's probably not going to happen with them.
Probably not at this point. Have you spoken to them though?
Yeah, because when this happened before and I was late on a few payments, they're like, well, you can go to this website. It's like, thanks for all the help. I knew it was hopeless. There's just the systems that have been built.
But in 3 days, it's going to be really hard to do that option. So
let's count that out.
Third option is my least favorite, but very effective. I don't know if you've looked into a bankruptcy yet, but a Chapter 13 would stop the sale immediately. It would
like that number.
It would probably delay it 60 to 90 days.
Sick.
But here are the things to think about. Number 1, your credit will be even more trash than it already is. Okay?
What's less than crap?
Number 2, it would stay with you for 6, 7, 10 years on your record. So if you were trying to launch a business, trying to get some money, trying to rent an office space, whatever the heck you're trying to do, you would have to go hire an attorney, find that person.
Okay.
They would want a couple $1,000s up front.
Okay.
Of which that may be hard to find. And then if you did file, let's say you filed, right? It stops the sale, done. It extends the sale 60, 90 days. Well, during that time, your reinstatement's building. So instead of 12 or 15,000, it's 20,000 now. It's hard to do a loan modification with your bankruptcy on your record. So there's just some things to think about.
Yes.
To me, that is a Hail Mary approach that you do at the last moment, if absolutely necessary.
No worries. What's the next option?
Option 4 is a cash sale. Pretty simple. You could work with anyone of your choice, accept a cash offer. They'd pay off the note. Hopefully, you'd come away with some money.
Cool.
Okay. 5th option is something that might be of interest to you. It's called Subject to. Subject to is just a fancy way of saying that I could reinstate the loan. So I would bring the 12, 13, 15,000, whatever it is. I would reinstate the loan. I would take ownership of the house. The loan would stay in your name. So that's the good thing, is that payment stays reasonable. Like you got in didn't you get in a really good rate?
Yeah, I was blessed.
What'd you get it at?
2 1/4.
Right.
At
So
250.
2 1/4 is probably a third of what you could get right now if you got a loan, 7-8%.
Yeah.
Right. So that loan is impossible to get. So in this situation, it provides some flexibility. I reinstate the loan. I take ownership of the house. Because the
payment
I like
every
that
month.
option the best so far.
The payment stays so low, maybe you guys could stay on as long-term tenants if you decided to work it that way. Then,
I love that idea.
if this worked, you have a couple options from there. Let's say in a few months, 3 or 4 months down the road, you're like, you know, this renting thing's fine, but I just feel like God's calling me to do something else somewhere else.
Absolutely.
In that situation, we could then list the house full retail, put some money in it, maybe partner on it, do these things. That's one option.
You saved the best for last, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. Then another option is that this has been cool for probably half a dozen people that I've worked with over the years. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened. Is people will allow me to buy it subject to. Maybe they're going through a really rough patch, then they get a job or get traction again, and they're like, hey, it's been a couple years, I actually can get approved for a loan now. And they've bought the house back,
Yeah.
which has been kind of cool.
Let's buy the neighborhood
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like
But
that.
that subject to option provides flexibility, is what it does.
Let's do that one. I like that one. Let's do subject to. I'm glad to have met you.
I'm glad to have met you too.
I knew that ghost emoji was
Yeah.
I was like, that's my emoji.
I'm an investor. I want to make money. You're a business guy. You want to make money. But at the same time, I
wanna change lives,
I want
yeah.
the other side of the table to win too. It's like I used to be a teacher, so I had to put a ton of
I
work
hired
into these
so many
kids.
teachers.
So
You
it's
guys
just
were the
like, it
best.
was a really hard job, but it was rewarding when you saw the kid kind of improve.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I want for you too, is to win.
Yeah.
I just want us both to win.
Absolutely.
Well, let's take a look at this place.
Yeah, it is awesome. First, let's start with the creepy basement.
Okay. Because this was a 19...
30, yeah. Real fireplace.
Yeah.
I took the mantle down and there was a pay stub that had heat reactive ink on it. This place is a treasure map.
Okay.
There's a whole nother section over there.
Is there really?
Yeah, so I said anybody who helps me find the gold around this place, we're splitting it, so congratulations.
There's another side of the basement over there?
Yeah, so I pulled up that hutch that was over there. It's bolted to the wall. I was like, what the hell is this? You see that? I think we gotta bust that thing open. Like, what's...
It'd be interesting to
I've
look
been
on
waiting.
the outside on the foundation and figure that out.
So yeah, that you'll see when we go out there. Newer foundation, older foundation over here. So this is where the wall is.
Okay.
And you can look down in there and it's covered in rock, but there's other homes in this area that have had gold found in them and like hidden. So I put holes in the walls with my anger issues.
Obviously, there was a newer addition.
This is the newer edition.
So where did that start? Just kind of...
Yeah. So this right
What was
here.
the original house?
So the kitchen is the original. There used to be a smaller living room and the garage was detached.
Okay.
I believe, well, there's so much, dude. I can't even.
Was that the front door back in the day?
Yeah, that is the front door.
Yeah.
Garage is still. Jeremiah fixed this thing. Like, I busted it down. As you can see, this is 6 months or a year of just nonstop anger.
I understand, man.
My girl's the strongest person I've ever met.
She's still hanging out with you, or?
She shows up every few days. She's having a hard time.
You got like the master super suite over here.
Yeah, but it's hot as hell. Yeah.
The AC just down, or is it?
Yeah, it's just a simple fix. This guy that goes by Krabs has said he'll fix it. He's got a missing 3 fingers. He's like, I'm great.
What's up with it? Just in case we were to have you stay.
I can't remember the word.
Does it just need more Freon, or is it?
It's like a bezel.
Needs a part or something?
And yeah, he knows exactly what it is.
Okay.
And it's a big unit up there, so it's heating up. I love this spot. That pool's awesome.
How long's it been like that?
Well, my girl was looking for a sign to not kill herself one night, and the pool exploded. And it was last summer. I heard it. Boom! And it's because the water, well, it was a sign. And she came in and she's like, and she needed it.
Did I tell you how much pain I've been in running by your house for years at a time?
With the front,
Yeah.
dude, I hate running.
I was coached the cross country team at Blue Springs, and one of our hardest runs is called the Valley View Run. And so
This is
a
I
really
would see
hilly
that.
road, so you'd have all these hill repeats where we were busting it. Yeah, show me this barn, man.
This
It's pretty
is the most amazing structure because
I think this is the only barn of this age within, I don't know how many miles.
this area is known as the Cracker Neck, or was.
Yeah.
That's where the James Younger gang hid out. And they hid out in barns.
This is cool, man.
And they believe he's a Knights Templar, a Freemason. And they found treasure at Solomon's Temple, and they protected it and hid it and took it somewhere. Things that look like this structure all point to that area where that well is. Says 7-4, and newest thing I've seen is TNT. So we go up here. It's actually nice and cool up here. Does a post like work? I found all these just barely digging. We think this water covered this area. We know that they were blowing caves up when those additions were coming in. They're using TNT to blow things up.
Right.
Because it's all like this. But there are caves all around here. What's up, Jeremiah? Join us on our walk.
See you again.
Yeah, I don't know who put it in. I found that stake here. We had the metal detector, and I was so hot and dehydrated, I almost passed out. I'm going, I see all these stupid holes.
Yeah.
And he was helping me dig.
I'm glad the tree missed your house.
Yeah.
So you want to do the subject to route?
Absolutely. I want to work with you.
Okay. So I've got the paperwork here. We can walk through that, see if you're comfortable with it, ask any question known to man.
I trust you.
Usually what I do in these situations is fill out the paperwork. I'll get the process started with my title company, try to get a postponement with citizens. If for whatever reason you came up with the money or something happened before the sale, I'll rip it up, man. I'm not in the business of taking people's houses. I really want you to win.
You're
I just
awesome.
want to be a backup plan.
Bless you.
You're a good dog.
He is the best.
All right, man. So I'm going to walk you through this. It's a little bit long just because the relationship can be long. So imagine you have
As all should be.
27 years on your note left, give or take, if you bought it 3 years ago. It could last the life of the loan unless we decide that we want to do something different. So there's your property address, legal description. This is approximately what is on your principal, 227. There's give or take 12,000 in arrears. It showed online that your opening bid is around 234,000, so that's what I'm going off of as what's owed. Okay.
we're going to try to close this thing before the sale on Thursday. And we're going to use a guy named Rick Davis. Rick Davis is...
Rick Davis? I used to work for him.
You kidding?
Yeah. One-eye Rick.
Synchronicities.
Yeah.
You in real estate?
No, well, I'm not in real estate, but I used to help him fix properties here and
No
there.
kidding.
Yeah.
Small world.
Uh-huh.
So in terms of all the cost to close this house, I pay for all of it.
Okay.
So all of the escrow fees, the title policy. I don't think there's an HOA here.
Nope.
Any of that
I
type
am
of
the
stuff
HOA.
I'm paying for, so you are completely $0 out of
Bless you.
pocket to do that. This is talking about all of the documents included in here. There's one called the subject to addendum that basically just lays out what is subject to. That way you know every aspect of the type of...
Subject T-O, T-W-O? Okay,
Yeah.
T-O.
Like subject to the existing
Gotcha.
mortgage.
I thought it was like subject 1, subject 2.
Yeah, like this.
Who does number 2 work for? Sorry if I stink.
No, that's all right. if you wanna read this at night and bore yourself to sleep, you can.
I read
This whole-
history now.
Yeah, well, you're a history buff, so you might do it. But this is a whole page based on the inspections and stuff. I've already done that. I've walked the
Well,
property.
there you go. You earned it.
Okay.
These other guys didn't earn anything.
What was the difference?
Them?
Yeah.
They're just chicken. I don't
mean?
know. I don't know. They're phonies.
So again, this whole page is about inspections and different way to prorate costs, but I'm taking care of all that. You're gonna get a copy of this when I leave. So
Excellent.
don't
I
feel
love copies.
Yep. This is all talking about closing costs again. Feel free to bore yourself if you want to read all that. So this page is important to you. Let's say I buy the house subject to. I'm making payments. Then the good Lord takes me home and all of my fail-safes fail. I stop making payments and I default. What happens? Okay? This is actually the best case scenario for you because I've brought the house current.
No, don't say that.
Well, hopefully you don't want me to die. But just in case.
I love you. Come on now.
Just in case, I bring the house current. Okay, over time, the house appreciates. Maybe I make some repairs on it. If for whatever reason I defaulted, it would transfer back to your ownership.
Okay.
So in that situation, you're in great
Could we
shape.
put it where your family gets?
Well, that's not how it works. I have to do my side of the coin. If
Well,
I
I
do my
wanna-
side, everything's
yeah.
good. If I don't do my side of the coin, you should benefit. This is the agreement that I really want you to understand and ask questions about if you want to.
I'm listening.
Okay? First couple pages are legalese. Here's all the disclosures for subject to and what it entails. Okay? When we close, you don't own the house anymore, but the loan stays in your name. I'm reinstating the loan. Okay? That money that I reinstate the loan with, that 12 or 15 grand, it's not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. Okay? It's an investment on my part.
Cool.
Okay? The existing loan that's in place with Citizens, it's not paid off. It's just caught up. Okay? So you do still have continuing liability on the loan in case I were to ever get, taken home by the good Lord or abducted by aliens. But if I were to not make payments for an extended period of time, we would be back where we're at right now.
And that ain't happening.
That's not happening.
150 houses a year. Let's make it 300. Let's make it.
This loan will stay on your credit report, but as a side benefit, I'll make payments every single month, and over time you'll get a little boost to your credit, which is kind of nice. Now, there is
My
a
credibility.
very rare, probably 1 in 250 transactions with subject to, there's something called the due on sale clause, where the lender could say, oh, I saw a transfer from Charles to Michael. I want to call the note due. In that case, I would just pay the house off. But it never happens with bigger banks.
Bet it will.
It's always like a small credit union. This just says, in the case where a tree falls and lands on the roof, I can file an insurance claim and make sure the house is okay. This says that you shouldn't cancel the insurance that's in place. The lender wouldn't let you anyway, but I'm paying for that every month. But this just allows us to order the payoff from Citizens and get that information.
Cool.
Okay. This one freaks people out a little bit. It's a durable limited power of attorney. That doesn't mean I have control over your life or anything. It means that I have control over this house.
I sign it and you go, oh, oh, oh,
Yes. So, for example, if I wanted to call the mortgage company and speak to them freely, it allows me to do that.
Yeah.
If I wanted to change out insurance or something, it allows me to do that.
I don't want to talk to them because they'll start yelling.
But that's all that this document allows me to do. I'm going to have to come back another time because this one has to be notarized. So we'll
I know a notary. Who's a notary?
I have a notary on my team, so you don't have to worry about that. Any questions on this stuff?
Let's get it signed.
Cool. Oh man, I don't want to keep you. Can I pray for you before we leave?
Yes, please.
All right. Lord, thank you for bringing me and Charles together. I know this is a tough time for him. I know he's gone through a lot, but you're a big God and you can handle any situation. Pray that you're with the title company, the lenders, all the people involved in this situation. I pray that you'll just make this situation smooth and easy so that we can get out to the other side safely. Pray that we have a good long-term relationship. Pray that we work together and that taking this house off of his shoulders can allow him some room for creativity and getting closer to you and so he can realize his potential and his purpose for his life. Pray that you just have your hand on this situation. I pray that everything ends up okay. Pray that you put your hand on this man over here. Give him peace, give him calm, just give him a sense of peace in his whole life. Pray this in your name, amen.
Amen.
Hopefully you got some value from that kind of fly on the wall look at a seller appointment. Hopefully you've taken a nugget or two away on how you can connect with the seller, how you need to be patient and listen to them, how you've got to go over all of their options and really be a trusted advisor more than an investor. So study this video, take it back to your business, implement everything you learned. If you learned something, please like, comment, subscribe. It means a lot to me, and I'll see you on the next one. So you got a pre-foreclosure under contract and there's just a few days before the auction. What now? Today we're going to go over some frameworks that can kind of ease the uncertainty in your mind of what happens once you get a contract on these properties. How do you communicate with foreclosure attorneys? How do you communicate with lenders? How can you get the sale stopped and make sure that these sellers are taken care of? We're going to go through every single one of these situations and give you the tools, the documents, and go over the power team that you'll need to get these sales stopped reliably. Now, before we get going too far into this, I have done pre-foreclosures for about 6 years. I've seen it all. I've done it all. I've seen most every situation. And when you're a new investor and you're just getting started and you're trying to do this all alone, it can be a little bit of a daunting task. You're trying to do all the marketing, all of the sales, all of the TC, gathering money, stopping foreclosure sales. It's a lot. To be successful, you're going to have to build a team around you. You're going to have a title company, a transaction coordinator. You're going to need to have your marketing on point. You're going to need to have partners in probate, bankruptcy, etc. But this all takes time. From the beginning, I want you to have it in your mind that you're going to try to delegate as much as you physically can. Figure out the things you truly love. Maybe that's marketing, maybe that's sales, maybe that's TC. Find the thing that you love. Get really good at that thing, but over time, build systems and processes to where you're going to be able to scale your company and still have the sanity to not feel like you have to work all day long to get these sales stopped. So my first several years, I was doing pre-foreclosures all alone. I was getting the sales stopped all alone. And that takes a ton of time and effort. And we'll get to it later in this video, how you can do it on your own. But if you want to do the most high leverage activity in terms of scaling your pre-foreclosure operation, it's finding a title company that can assist you in getting these foreclosure sales stopped. You may ask, how do I find such a title company? How do I know that they are experienced in pre-foreclosures? How do I know that they're going to be able to help me get them stopped? Well, years ago, it came down to a need. I needed to start doing subject to transactions. I, of course, learned about subject to from the great Pace Morby back early 2020, but no one in Kansas City in terms of title companies were willing to insure and close these properties. So I simply did a Google search. I typed in who closes subject to transactions in Kansas City. I happened to find a gentleman named Rick Davis who actually was a foreclosure attorney, a licensed attorney, and he just started a title company. I actually interviewed him at that point and asked him several different questions, such as, do you have experience with pre-foreclosures? We close tons of them. I really need a title company that can handle those transactions. Can you close really fast? Do you do online closings? I just interviewed him about all of the different things that would be an ideal title company for me. And fortunately, he had all of those services on tap already. So this is one of the first main lessons that you need to understand. A title company is one of your biggest partners that you're going to use when you're scaling a real estate operation. You've got to interview these title companies like you would an employee. You're not forced to work with these people. There's dozens and dozens of title companies in each city. You should be going through and interviewing each one and figure out which one meets your needs the best. In my case, it was Rick Davis. So after I interviewed him, we decided to give him a couple of test files just to see if his claims were actually accurate. I contracted a house in Kansas City, Kansas about 2 years ago. This was a Saturday, and the foreclosure sale was 4 p.m. in the afternoon on Monday. I just didn't see any way possible that we were going to be able to stop the sale in terms of what I did to get the sale stopped. We definitely weren't going to be able to close in time. So I sent the contract over to Rick, said, look, here's the situation. We have a foreclosure sale here in a couple of days. What can you do? So he immediately went to work, and by noon on Monday, he had that file ready to close. We closed the property, paid off the lender, got the sale stopped, and went ahead and bought the property and made about $25,000. That completely altered the wiring in my brain of how quickly I should expect a title company to close and the excellence in which someone should work with at a title company to make sure we take care of our clients. So if you're a real estate investor that wants to start doing pre-foreclosures and do 1, 2, 3, 5 deals a week, you're going to have to find a title company that operates with excellence in that specific area. Like I've said, interview them, ask them all the different features that you would like to see in terms of being a client with them. See how many of those boxes they tick off. If they're not going to be a good fit for you, move on. There is a title company in your market that is going to be able to service you at the highest level. Now, let's say that you don't have that title company, or there's not a title company that you can find that is experienced with pre-foreclosures. It's good to have the knowledge on how you can stop those sales yourself. So we're going to go over the different documents that you'll need, kind of the process that you would go through to get those sales stopped, and everything in between. First off, let's go over all the different documents that you're going to need to stop these foreclosure sales. Let's say you've met with the seller, you've come to an agreement, they've signed that purchase agreement. That is going to be the first document that you'll need, whether it be a cash sale, whether it be a subject to transaction, you're going to need that PSA. The second document that you're going to need is a proof of funds. The next question is going to be, where do I get a proof of funds, Michael? Well, you can either take a screenshot of your company bank account if you're fortunate enough to have the amount of money to cover that property. You can get a proof of funds from one of your private lenders. Perhaps they can go ahead and write up a letter, take a screenshot of their bank account for all the money that they lend you, and that should be sufficient. Well, what if you don't have a private lender? Go ahead and connect with hard money lenders. They would love to help you out as well. And if you develop that relationship, more than likely they can provide you a proof of funds. The third document that you could use to get a foreclosure sale stopped is a cover letter. What I mean by that is writing a letter to whoever the lender or the foreclosure attorney is, completely lay out the situation. I tend to lay into the sob story of the seller. I would go through their situation, what their story is, why they haven't been able to make the payments, how important it's going to be for them to get a postponement for the future of their financial situation, and how you as an investor are going to solve the situation. Then make a request of how long you would like the postponement to be. Maybe you only need 7 days to be able to go ahead and close that property. Maybe you need multiple months to be able to get a probate through. Completely lay out that situation for the lender so that they completely understand. There's going to be someone within that lending company that has a heart for people. They see your letter, and then they address someone that's actually the decision maker and get something done for you. The next document you're going to need is a bare bones HUD from your title company. This doesn't have to be something where you have title search already and you know you can go ahead and close. Your title company should be able to provide you with just the bare minimum of a closing document. That way you can send that to the attorney or the lender and just show them that you have the ability to close, you're starting to take action already, and you're going to be able to close in short order. This just gives you some additional credibility. Let's say that you have all 4 of those documents. What is the next step in terms of getting that sale stopped? A good first step is going ahead and faxing that over to the lender and faxing that over to the attorney. It's also good if you happen to have a contact to give them a call, leave a voicemail that say that you left those documents, or send an email. You want to over communicate and make sure that someone lays eyes on it. But you can't just assume that sending those documents is going to be enough. This is where the persistence piece comes in. You're going to have to get on the phone early and often. And when you call in to any different lender, you're probably going to get an entry-level associate. Perhaps they haven't been there for very long. They don't know all the rules. They don't know how to get a foreclosure stop period. You're going to have to call these people over and over until you get the person that's been there for a long time or they really know what they're doing. Once you get past that person, they'll pass you up to some type of mid-level management or perhaps a decision maker within the firm. And that is the person that has the authority to get that foreclosure sale stopped. So there are going to be many times when you call and they say, well, it's going to take this long to get a reinstatement, or it's going to take this long to get a foreclosure sale stopped, or you don't have enough time, period. There's nothing we can do. You cannot take that at face value. You've got to be persistent, hang up the phone politely, and keep calling until you find someone that is worth their salt and knows what they're doing. Once you get someone on the phone that knows what they're doing and they really want to help you, they of course will not want to speak to you because you're not an authorized borrower on that account. So what do you do then? You can do one of 2 things. The first is to get the seller to sign a third-party authorization with their lender. You can send that over through email. You can send that over through fax. The problem is that can sometimes take multiple days for them to process. It's kind of a slow, antiquated process. The quicker way is to do a third-party verbal authorization to get access to the account. So what you're going to want to do is get your seller on the phone, do a third-party call with their lender. They, the seller, will give you a verbal authorization that you, the investor, have their permission to speak with the lender freely, ask questions, get information on the account, and potentially even make decisions on the account. This whole process may take many different phone calls over potentially several days, and it may take several hours of your time. I've stopped tons and tons of foreclosure sales that way. It's very rewarding as you work with the seller and you develop that bond, and it helps you develop that rapport with them to make sure you get the deal to the finish line. But at the same time, I want to be out having conversations with sellers. I want to be out finding new deals, helping new people, and generating new revenue. If I'm on the phone all the time, it's preventing me from doing that. That's why earlier in the video, when I talked about how important it is to find a title company that can do that for you, I mean that. So take the time to interview a title company, make sure that they can do this process for you, and that will enable you to do a lot more revenue generating activities. Just so this can sink in, let's go through all the documents that you need in case you're a stubborn person that wants to do it on your own. You're going to need that purchase and sale agreement. You're going to need a proof of funds. You're going to need a cover letter, and you're going to need a bare bones HUD from your title company. You will then need to get verbal authorization with the seller to speak to the lender, and you're going to have to work your way up from the entry salesperson to that mid-level management to the top-end decision maker, and hopefully at that point you've demonstrated that you're a quality buyer and that you can go ahead and close on that property. And at that point they very well may issue a postponement to allow you to finish the title process and close. Now, if you have several days or weeks, that process is all well and good. But what if you get a last-minuter, a seller in pre-foreclosure that waits till the absolute last second, maybe the business day or 2 before, maybe even a few hours before the foreclosure sale? You don't have time to close on this property with your title company. You don't really have time to go through the process in terms of speaking with the lender or foreclosure attorney in terms of getting a postponement. There's just no time. What do you do then? At that point, the conversation about Chapter 13 bankruptcy may need to come into play. I do not like bankruptcy. I hate it when my sellers have to file it, but there are times when they have so much equity and there's no time, and the only way to buy a little time is to file bankruptcy. But you must be very, very careful with how you do this. You don't want to, in terms of the investor, have them fill out those documents with you. You don't want to give them any advice as if you were an attorney. You really need a third-party partner that you can refer these cases to. Just like I told you to interview your title company earlier, you really need to be finding a bankruptcy partner, an attorney that can act really quickly with these files, that's licensed, that can give really accurate advice and help your seller at a moment's notice. You personally do not want the liability of suggesting someone needs to file bankruptcy, of having to fill out those documents with them. Nothing good is going to happen if you take on that liability yourself. You need to have someone that's licensed, skilled, really knowledgeable in the area that can help you get to your desired result. So if someone comes to you at the last minute, they need to stop the sale, you don't have time for other options, get together with your bankruptcy partner, hand that off to them as a third-party partner, allow them to work with your client, they can fill out the bankruptcy paperwork, file that with the county, and then legally that foreclosure sale must be stopped. Depending on your area, it might be 30, 60, 90 days, maybe even more, but it should give you enough time to go through all of the seller's options and figure out, do they want to reinstate the loan? Do they want to do a loan modification? Do they want to sell for cash? Or maybe subject to. It just gives you some breathing room in which to operate. So if someone comes to you at the last second, yes, you can help them get the sale stopped with a bankruptcy, but make sure you have a licensed individual that really knows what they're doing, that can act quickly, and make sure everything is done by the book. It protects you, it protects the seller, it's just the best way to go. Now you may run into another situation where a property is in pre-foreclosure, the homeowner has unfortunately passed away, and you have gotten in contact with an heir, a son, a daughter, whoever it might be, and that property might need to go through probate. What do you do then in terms of getting the foreclosure sale stopped? Again, I will refer to the fact that you're going to need a power team. If you want to close properties quickly, have a good title company. If you want to get a sale stopped at the last minute, you need a bankruptcy partner. And if you need a property that needs to go through probate at the last second, you need to have a really good probate attorney. So the process remains the same. Call up all the different probate attorneys in your area. Let them know what you're doing. Tell them that you assist people in pre-foreclosure or going through probate in general, and that you would love to refer them business over and over, but you know that there are a ton of different variations in probate. Ask them if it would be okay for you to give them a call, kind of explain each situation as it's happening in real time, and have them give you advice on what would more than likely need to be done in terms of that probate situation. That way you can educate the seller in terms of what will need to be done to pass the property through probate, get the property in their name, and then in turn, they would be able to sell you the property. But what if that seller comes to you a handful of days, maybe a week or 2 weeks before the foreclosure sale? Is there any hope to get that sale stopped? Well, yes, there is. So what you would need to do is connect that seller with your probate attorney. That way they could go through all the documents, the attorney could ask all their questions, and the attorney could fill out a petition to file with the court to start that probate process. Most of the time after they've done that, they will get a case filing back, and when you have that case filing, then you can issue it to the lender, you can issue it to the foreclosure attorney. And oftentimes, if you give them at least several days' notice, they will grant a temporary cancellation so that you can finish that probate process. So you'll notice in this process with probate, just like with bankruptcy, I'm finding an expert, I'm connecting my client and the attorney or the probate attorney, and I'm allowing them to use their expertise. Don't feel like you have to be the expert and you have to know every aspect of bankruptcy or you know every aspect of probate. Find the expert. Allow them to work for you. Delegate so that you can elevate the whole situation. Now, normally when you file those documents, the foreclosure sale is going to get stopped, and that probate, depending on where you are, may be 4 weeks, 2 or 3 months. It really just depends on how busy your courts are. At that point, the property would transfer over to the heir, and then you could complete the transaction as normal. So today we've gone over at a high level kind of how to get those foreclosure sales stopped. I understand that every situation is different and it's probably still a little bit scary. At the end of the day, you've got to go have these conversations with sellers. You've got to find someone with a motivation, and you've got to actually experience these things in real life to do real learning. There's so much to learn with pre-foreclosures. We're kind of just skimming the surface, but at the end of the day, I need you to learn a few lessons from this video. Number one, is it possible to get foreclosure sales stopped in a short time frame? Yes, it is, but you have to have the team behind you to allow you to do that at scale. You need that title company, you need that bankruptcy partner, you need that probate partner. You've got to have those. Number two is you've got to have the persistence to serve the homeowner at the highest level. When you're trying to get foreclosure sales stopped, there's going to be resistance. You cannot fold the first time someone tells you no. Just like sales, you got to keep following up and following up. Let them know that you have the intention to get this sale stopped and that you're not going to stop until it does. Stopping foreclosures for homeowners can be such a rewarding thing. Of course, you help the homeowner. Yeah, you can make some money from these deals, but there's something internally that really just feels good when you assist people in this way. I hope this video has been helpful. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Hey, my name is Michael, owner of Niche, and I've done north of 700 foreclosure deals in my career. In this video, I'm meeting with a niche student named Alexander that worked with a seller to collect some surplus funds. What are surplus funds? Well, when a house gets foreclosed on, that's not the end in terms of revenue for a seller. So for example, if a seller owed $100K, including principal, interest, and fees, and at the foreclosure sale, it went for $150,000, that $50,000 right there, we as investors can work with sellers to recover those funds and get a commission for our efforts. So in this video, Alexander discusses his situation with me, with the seller. We go over the agreements that are needed and how to present that to the seller. So tune into this conversation that I have with Alexander, see how you pitch to these sellers surplus funds. Enjoy. What's up, man?
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh,
I won't
sure.
take up any of your time. I know you're busy.
No, you're good. I enjoy it. Well, catch me up to speed on everything going on, and then we can go over this paperwork here and see what we can do to help out this seller.
Okay, awesome. So, yeah, I originally, like in the beginning, I was trying to help him stop the foreclosure. He just really put his head in the sand. There was no possible way I could push it any further for him to take action on his side. So I went to auction. He did, and then he started to receive the letters. We worked out how much in proceeds. He started getting, letters from other companies and about what his proceeds would look like. He's owed $73,000. And so, at that point, I worked out with him, hey, I can help you gather your proceeds. I was in JV partnership with somebody outside of Sub 2 that, someone in Sub 2 referred me to. They were going to help me with the process, and all they did was send in the letter of authorization. Then I pretty much communicated with Aldridge Pite the whole process, and then it came to a point where I was like, "Hey, this person I was JVing it with, they didn't send him any contracts or anything in writing yet, and it's pretty much it's been months." A lot of mistakes were made. I definitely should have done my due diligence. I should have made sure that, hey, I need to see the contracts and make sure that everything's in writing. And I guess, put too much trust in that. I was working on other things and family things came up. And so long story short, I realized we don't have anything in writing. And now it's coming to the end where the attorneys are like, hey, this is the amount, 73,000 and some change.
Yeah.
Now we're ready to send the check out. And so I said, hey, we're representing, his name's Anthony Cooney. We're representing Mr. Cooney. And so I'm just trying to get the correct paperwork in place with the attorneys. I did message them today, and they said that they will be waiting for the assignment contract, okay. And that will work for them. And so as soon as they get that, and they can make up the paperwork to send out the check.
Perfect.
To
Is the client
yeah.
is the client still in touch with you in terms of being willing to sign all that?
Yeah. So the client is I just talked to him a few days ago. I said that, in the next few days I'm gonna have some paperwork for him, and he's ready to move forward on that. I'm probably gonna need to get a mobile notary.
Sure.
Because the house was in Atlanta that went to foreclosure, and he is homeless, and so he moved to
Oh, wow.
Florida. So he's in Florida right now staying with his sister. So he's not even in the state of Georgia. And so that was something I was concerned about as well, as like, I know that the assignment form needs to be notarized.
Yes, it
And
does.
so does it need to be notarized in the original state that the foreclosure took place, or because he's in Florida? And so
I wouldn't think that would matter, but you might want to clarify that with the attorney.
Okay.
That's a good question. We do most of our stuff on online notary anymore. But
Okay.
more than likely, you'll have him go to a local bank or somewhere to get it notarized, or send a mobile notary to him.
Okay. Yeah. So he's staying with his sister in Florida. And so I was thinking making it really easy on him. It seems like he's very pressed for money, and
Right.
it's been a challenge to communicate with him. But we're in good communication now. And so what I was going to do was, just send a mobile notary to him, make it really easy for him. Get the paperwork in place. He sends me a copy of it, and I could submit that to Aldridge Pite, the foreclosure attorneys, and then kind of go from there.
Love it. Cool. Well, let's just go over the different paperwork. In different states, they require different paperwork. You said that they would be okay with an assignment of surplus funds, which would be great. But I'm going to go over all the different documents with you. That way you just have an understanding for the future of them.
Okay.
Let me pull those up for you real quick. The first one is just the surplus funds services agreement. This basically lays out that, hey, you, Alexander, and your seller have agreed to let you service the situation, and you agree to a percentage of commission that you're going to take. Did you guys agree on a number, or?
Yeah, we did. There was some discrepancies, and it came down to 10%. I know, like, I was listening to your Zoom, and that's a low amount. This is my first one.
Yeah, that's okay.
He was really pressed for money. It is what it is.
No,
I
that's
guess,
fine. You're going to get paid to learn learn a skill here.
Yes.
So there are
absolutely.
worse things in the world. Let me zoom into this agreement, and we'll kind of go over it. But basically, this just says, hey, the principal or property owner is agreeing to work with you, the agent.
Okay. And there, Michael, would that be like my LLC, or would
Yes.
I put my actual name there?
I would put your LLC. So here,
The agency. Okay.
here you're going to put in this line, name of the homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to put the name of your LLC here.
Okay.
You're the agent. The person that you're working with, your seller, is the principal.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so principal was the exclusive owner of real estate located at, and then you would put their address of the property that you're working on.
Okay.
A mortgage or deed of trust securing the property was foreclosed by a lender on or about, and you'll put the date of when you think it foreclosed if you don't have the exact date.
Okay. I do. I have the dates.
Okay. Then you'll put the foreclosing lender and or trustee conducting the foreclosure sale are blank. So Wells Fargo and the foreclosure attorney you just mentioned, what was it again?
Aldridge Pite.
Aldridge Pite. So you'll
Okay.
put those two companies here.
The two companies. Okay.
Yep. So the lender and the trustee.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm just going to go through here. If you have any questions, just let me know. But principal believes that the foreclosure sale resulted in surplus funds. So you said that it was end up being about $73K?
Yeah, 73,300 and some change.
Okay, so this is just acknowledging that, yes, we believe that there's a foreclosure sale. Yes, we believe that there are surplus funds. This section is kind of identifying that they are, in fact, the owner of the home or the heir. So principal is unaware of any reason that the principal is not entitled to the surplus funds, and they represent that prior to foreclosure, no person other than them had interest in the property. So I assume that they're the legit owner of the property.
Yes.
This says that they desire to work with you to recover that money. It says that principal knows that you, Alexander, are not an attorney. You may be using an attorney to facilitate this, but that you're not an attorney. And this section talks about they're using your services just to recover the money easier and faster. That's all it says.
Okay.
It's kind of like in a cash sale agreement. You're saying that, yes, I am, in fact, trying to make a profit on this. That's basically what it says.
Okay.
So next page, let's see if we can get to that. A lot of this is kind of like, in a way, like the sub 2 addendum, if you're aware of that document, to where it's just like, here's all the things that you should be aware of.
All the disclosures and
all the disclosures.
Okay.
Yes. So I wouldn't, now it sounds like this person is just going to sign, but in the future, you don't necessarily have to go through every single one of these things.
Okay.
But it's good for you to know. So this section, you're going to put your percentage of commission that you're taking. So for example, principals shall pay agent 10%. And then you can even say whether it's gross or it's net. I recommend, if you have to pay, like in my market for our surplus funds, we pay our attorney $900 flat rate for ours. That way, if there's $100,000 collected, that $1,000 service fee from the attorney is going to be taken off the total amount. So there's $99,000 left. Then you would get X percentage of that. So we always try to.
I didn't go too in depth. I just said 10% is what we worked out. That would be.
I would just put 10% here.
Okay.
10% of the gross.
Okay.
Okay. Principal authorizes agent to hold itself out as agent's representative for this purpose to recover the surplus funds. And they say that it's okay to deposit the surplus funds into your bank account if that needs to be done. The way I like to do it, and it sounds like this is how it's going to be done in this situation, is to have an attorney represent the entire situation. When the check comes, it would go to an attorney, and they say, oh, here's your service agreement. Alexander gets 10%, seller gets 90%. I conclude that Alexander gets X and seller gets Y. Then they would send an email to both of you, say, is this agreeable? You both say yes. They distribute that amount of money. That way there's just no hearsay or bickering and squabbling over the amount of money. It's like, hey, the attorney did this. They're an independent third party. That way you don't have to be, any scrutiny towards you.
Right. Okay. And that's why I think I want to do, like on these next ones, is go through an attorney, because I did contact one, but because this one's like pretty much at the tail end, it's really just putting the things together. The foreclosure attorneys they've already sent me the amount and everything, and it's pretty much just get the contracts in place and they'll send out the check.
100%.
And so at this point, you think I should just continue to?
I think in this one, you're so far down the road that it's fine. In the future, definitely get on Google, type in surplus funds attorney or something, and interview a few of those people. Let them know, hey, I'm going to be doing a number of these. I would like to develop a relationship with someone that can do these for me regularly. And then once you get these documents signed, send them over to that attorney. They would run them through the process that's required in that given state. Then when the money is distributed, it would go to that attorney. They would then distribute it between you and the seller, however it is supposed to be distributed.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds good. That's definitely how I'm going to proceed on the next ones for sure.
Yeah. So then that gets us to this one. Principal authorizes the agent is able to retain legal counsel. So you can retain your own attorney to facilitate this situation here. In this situation, principal agrees to execute a limited power of attorney, granting me owner and agent the authority described in the agreement, naming Michael Franke as attorney in fact to represent them. So it's a limited power of attorney. You may not need to do that in this situation. They said that they would be happy with just an assignment. We'll go over that document.
Okay.
But basically, this is just kind of like a sub 2 POA to where I can speak to lenders, I can speak to attorneys, I can collect money, I can do anything in the transaction that is required to close the transaction. Doesn't have anything to do with the seller's health or anything else. It's just this property, this situation.
Okay, and so this document here, this goes to the foreclosure attorneys as well?
Yes.
This gets sent
So I would send them this because this lays out the terms of the agreement. I'm getting 10%. Then the next document will be the assignment of surplus funds that allows you to be assigned the right to collect those funds.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
In this situation, without having your own counsel, more than likely the Aldridge Pike's going to send you the $73K. Then you're going to distribute the appropriate amount of money to the seller.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. This says that once you've begun efforts to recover the surplus funds, they cannot take any action to terminate this agreement. Kind of protects you in that way. This agreement can only be modified or terminated if both of you agree and have paperwork to say so. This says the principal agrees to be truthful with agent regarding surplus funds. This is important. People need to know that this creates a tax event. So when people get this money, they need to set some aside for taxes. The tax man will come and they will want their share. So then when it comes to filing taxes and they get a bill, people are mad because then they spent it all already or whatever.
Right. Yeah. People kind of overlook that one. Yeah. And so because it's all coming to me and then I'm going to distribute it, should I keep records of that when I do my taxes and go,
Yes.
hey, look, like I was just the, advisor.
Correct.
Or so I don't get hit with that.
Correct.
73,000.
You definitely don't want to get billed for all of that. It needs to be, and that should be something that you address with your attorney. Hey, I'm concerned if I get this check that I'm going to end up having to pay taxes on all of it. How do I need to rig this to where I'm only taxed for what I am making revenue wise?
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, and then we just got a little bit of legalese down here. Last page. Whoa. Okay. And then we just got more legalese. Then you're going to sign, print, date. This doesn't have to be notarized, this particular document. So this is just kind of laying out the terms of this agreement that you have the authority to collect a commission and let them know the terms of what you're going to be doing. That's all it is.
And so I set this up. I started to set this up through DocuSign, and so that would be fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and then the signatures, like in DocuSign, it has where I can write the signature and then the printed name. Yeah, that's all fine too.
It should be fine. Now on this assignment, you will need this to be wet ink. They will need to sign this in person through a notary.
So send it to him. He'll make a copy when I get the mobile notary.
Right.
Okay.
So this is your assignment to all excess proceeds. So it's interesting down there in Georgia, maybe this is what they want. But basically, this just lays out, hey, this assignment rights to all excess proceeds is entered into and between the name of the homeowner and name of your company. This document has a lot of power, because this document actually says you have the right to all of it. And a lot of times investors that perhaps don't have the morality that I expect of people in the niche community will just get a seller to sign this, and it basically gives all the excess funds to them, and they kind of trick them, right? So that's why I like to have the last agreement that lays out, hey, this is the percentage that we're getting, right? And then this assigns the right to collect those funds. So Just be very
Okay.
careful with this agreement. I know you won't abuse it, but there are people out there that do abuse it, and sometimes people don't know what they're signing and how much money they're giving away. So just something to think about.
Okay, absolutely.
For valuable consideration, hereby acknowledged, assignor warrants, conveys, guarantees to the assignee all of its rights for the recovery and collection of excess proceeds for the property here. And then you'll, down here, have it notarized. So it's a very simple agreement, but I like to pair it with that services agreement we just went over.
Okay. And so this is, so where it says the assigner down there, that's the seller.
Yep.
Anthony
Yep,
Cooney.
you're the
and then-
assignee.
Okay. And then right there in the middle, above the note, so
Yep.
assigner, that line there, that's his signature.
That's his
there.
signature. Yes.
Okay. And then the notarization, they deal with that.
Yep.
And then as far as he could send me back once it is notarized, he could send back a photocopy of that, and then I could submit that into the foreclosure attorneys, or
You
do
could,
I need to mail in the original wet copy?
if they require the original, have the notary overnight something to you, and
Okay.
then submit it to them.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so that's the assignment form. It sounds like that's all they need in this situation. Other times you might need a limited power of attorney. So I'm just going to go over that too. I'll send you these documents.
Okay.
Okay, so this is just like an LPOA for a sub 2. It just allows me to talk to the attorney, all the people involved in this transaction, act as if I'm the seller trying to collect the money for myself. So it sounds like you don't need to get this particular document signed, but in the future with different trustees, they might want a limited power of attorney in terms of being able to speak to them and collecting the check.
Okay. So it didn't sound like they needed, they just mentioned the assignment, assignment contract.
Perfect.
And then with the other contract that I'm sending, but if for some reason, say somebody else picks the file up or something and I have to send in this as well, I would just sign this, very straightforward here.
Yep.
Claimant's name and okay.
Yeah, pretty easy. Then the last one, this is for situations where the trustee has rules that maybe they will not issue the surplus funds check directly to you in your LLC. Sometimes they have rules to where they will only send a check to the seller. And this is written permission from the seller for the attorney to send it to you, or send it to them, but have it route to your address for your care. So I'll go over this, but basically says this is addressed to the trustee. Hey, I have contracted with your LLC to make application for excess funds for the property at X. Please make out the check to your LLC. If it is the policy of your office to make said checks payable to the claimant, the seller, then please do so and send to me in care of Niche Solutions or your LLC at the following address. And you would put your address.
Okay.
If you have any questions, contact your name of your LLC and your phone number. Okay, and this needs to be notarized.
Also notarized. Okay.
Okay, so I would go ahead and have this document with your assignment. It's pretty clear. You may as well just get it in case. If they don't need it, fine. But just in case they give you grief on who they want to send the check to, it's wise to get this signed as well.
Okay, I'll just have that signed and get it notarized as well, just in case. Yeah.
But you only really need to get the 3 documents: your services agreement, the assignment, and that last document there, the letter of direction.
The letter of direction. Okay. And I'll just include the letter of direction, have that notarized, and just in case they give me any pushback or whatever, at least I have that document as well.
100%. Any other questions about those? They're really fairly straightforward documents.
They are now. Yeah, absolutely. You explained it really well. That's I feel like I overthink things. I just because this is my first one, so I'm all nervous, I guess.
Well, it's funny.
I'm gonna mess up the paperwork.
my first one was kind of like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so nerve wracking. And then I just sent it over to the attorney. Took probably 5 or 6 weeks to get the money. It's going to depend how long it takes on each state and each courthouse and their busyness. Hopefully, in this case, since the trustee is holding it, hopefully they can just approve it and then hand it over quickly. So we'll see how long it takes, but I would give the seller the expectation that it might be a month or 6 weeks, but sometimes it can be a lot faster. It just depends on the trustee and the situation.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. I'll definitely relay that to them. And he's been very patient this whole time. And so looking forward to getting these signed with him, and I'll contact a mobile notary and hoping to get this one across the finish line.
All right, man. Well, if you want to text me your email, I can send you over these documents. You may need to edit them slightly for your purposes, but they should work.
Okay. Absolutely, Michael. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your time. And really excited to be in niche.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
And, yeah, absolutely. I'm like really looking for my next deal. And that Zoom earlier was so good. When one of the gentlemen said, how many where you guys were breaking down KPIs, because that's something, later in more family Zooms, I'll go over it. But that's one of my goals is I'm trying to narrow down what's required of me to get one deal a month. And I have a revenue goal of, I want to have, 100,000, in the next 6 to 8 months, or a year from now. And so I want to get a deal a month. And then you guys are breaking down, between, 150 calls a day, and to follow through with that. So that was really good. And I wrote that down. I got on a sticky note right here on my wall.
There you go.
And I'm like, that's what I want to get, because I want to get to, one contract a month. And if I can do that, it would change my family's life. And so
that's awesome, brother. If you haven't in the app, you can schedule a one-on-one with me. I don't know if you've done so already.
Not yet. I would love to, though.
But if you get into our app here. Into the app, if you go over to the resource guide,
okay,
you can schedule a one-on-one with me, and then there's just a Zoom link or a Calendly link. I do 10 of those slots a week, so I'm not sure how many are available this week, next week, or the week after that. But yeah, I'd be happy to meet with you and go over your business and kind of work backwards on the activities required to get you to your goal there.
Absolutely, Michael. I would love that. I'll go on there now and I'll find a spot. And thank you so much for everything.
No problem.
Really appreciate it and excited to be here.
Good deal, man. I'll talk to you later. Let me know if you need anything else on those documents there.
Absolutely. I'll shoot you over my email, and thanks so much.
Awesome, brother. Talk to you later.
Okay. Have a good day. Bye.
Well, hopefully that conversation brought you a lot of value. Again, surplus funds is a wonderful bolt-on to the business we already love in terms of foreclosures. But sometimes these situations, we just can't resolve them. There's difficult probate situations or divorce situations, or maybe sellers just want to put their head in the sand. So surplus funds can be a wonderful way to assist them after the house gets foreclosed on. If this has brought you a lot of value, it would mean a lot to me if you like, comment, and share. And likewise, we cover concepts like this in the niche community all the time. These are the types of tools that I want to help put you in your tool belt. That way you become a more valuable investor in your market. If you have an interest in becoming a niche student, I've also linked that in the description. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was valuable to you. See you on the next one.